Aaron was busy in the small repair bay of the human outpost. The outpost was not large, only a few domes and halls connected by narrow corridors. Its purpose was simple: to watch the nearby space routes and keep trade safe. Aaron was not a soldier or an officer. He was a technician, someone who fixed machines when they broke down. Most of the time he worked alone, but today he had a visitor. Myra, the alien girl, stood near the workbench. Her people were known for their graceful movements and bright, curious eyes. She was not tall, yet she carried herself with quiet confidence. Myra had come with a group of her kind to trade and learn about humans. Unlike the others, she seemed eager to talk with Aaron and watch how he worked with his hands. Aaron had removed the casing of a broken scanner. He leaned over the wires, carefully adjusting each part. Myra tilted her head and asked many questions. Why were humans so careful with small machines? Why did they prefer to fix things instead of building new ones? What made them value time spent in repair when faster ways existed? Aaron answered as best as he could, but sometimes he only smiled and shook his head. Humans had their ways, and he could not always explain them. To make her laugh, Aaron sometimes told small jokes. He liked the way her eyes lit up when she laughed. On this day, as he tightened the last screw, he told her about old human stories. He said that long ago, people believed in magical drinks called love potions. These potions could make someone fall in love without reason. Aaron laughed after saying it, expecting Myra to laugh too. But Myra did not laugh. She looked at him with calm eyes and a small smile. Then she spoke words that made him pause. I already gave you one. For a moment Aaron thought he had misheard her. The hum of the machines filled the silence. He set the tool down and looked at her carefully. She did not seem like she was joking. Her eyes were steady, her voice soft, yet her words carried weight. Aaron laughed nervously, trying to push the moment away. You are teasing me, right? You do not really mean that. Myra folded her hands behind her back. She took a slow breath and stepped closer to the bench. Among my people, sharing food or drink is not only kindness. It is a way of opening the heart. When I offered you the fruit from my world last week, I gave you more than a taste. I gave you a bond. Her words sank into him slowly. Aaron remembered the day she had handed him a strange round fruit. It had been sweet, unlike anything he had tasted before. He thought it was only a gift of friendship. Now she was saying it was something far deeper. He looked away, unsure what to say. His hands felt cold, though the repair bay was warm. A bond, he repeated. You mean, what exactly? Myra's voice remained calm. Our bodies carry energy that responds to trust. When shared through food, the energy creates a link. It is not something humans know, but for us it is very old. I did not plan it, but it happened. Now I feel you close, even when you are not near. Aaron blinked, uncertain if he should believe her. It sounded like something from a story, not from real life. He wanted to laugh again, but the seriousness in her tone held him still. He could not deny that something about the last few days had felt strange. He had thought of Myra more often than he expected. He had felt restless when she was far away, and calmer when she appeared again. He thought it was only his own imagination, but now he wondered if she was telling the truth. He picked up the broken scanner again just to keep his hands busy. So when I made a joke about love potions, you said you already gave me one. You meant the fruit. Yes, Myra said simply. That was the bond. Silence filled the repair bay once more. Aaron could hear the faint echo of voices from the corridor outside. He felt the steady hum of the station beneath his feet. Yet the loudest thing was the quiet certainty in Myra's words. Aaron wanted to tell her it was impossible, that humans did not work that way. Yet he remembered the way she had looked at him when he was tired, as if she already knew. He remembered the comfort in her presence. He remembered that his heart had felt lighter since she first smiled at him. Still, he tried to shake it off. "Well," he said, forcing a smile, "if this is true, then you should be careful. Humans are not so easy to handle. Maybe you will regret giving me this bond." Myra's smile widened just a little. "I do not regret it. I only wish you would see it as I do. To me it is not a burden. It is a gift." Aaron did not answer. He placed the scanner back on the bench and rubbed his hands together. He could not tell if she was speaking in playful riddles or in a truth that went beyond his understanding. The thought that something unseen now tied them together filled him with both curiosity and unease. Myra did not press him further. She only stood near the bench, her eyes calm, her voice quiet. "You will feel it in time," she said. "The bond is not something you can deny forever." With that, she turned and walked toward the door. The sound of her steps faded into the corridor. Aaron stayed behind, staring at the half-repaired machine, but his thoughts were no longer on wires and circuits. They were on the alien girl who spoke of bonds, and on the fruit he had eaten without a second thought. For the first time, Aaron wondered if a joke about love potions had led him into something far more real than he could ever imagine. Aaron tried to forget the strange words Myra had spoken, but they followed him through the rest of the day. He worked on machines, carried tools, and even joined the others in the dining hall, yet his mind always returned to that moment. "I already gave you one." Those 5 words echoed in his head like a song he could not stop hearing. The outpost was quiet most days. A few humans moved between stations, checking data, or repairing old equipment. The alien visitors, including Myra and her group, stayed in their assigned quarters or studied human technology. Aaron normally enjoyed the routine, but now every step he took seemed heavier. He wanted to laugh at himself for being so easily shaken. He told himself it was only a joke, a playful answer to his own teasing. Yet the calm way she had said it did not feel like a joke at all. When the shift ended, Aaron walked down the corridor toward the observation dome. He often went there when he needed to clear his mind. The dome was wide and transparent, giving a full view of the stars. Space stretched endlessly, quiet and cold, yet beautiful. Aaron stood by the glass and breathed deeply. Out here he could almost believe his worries were too small to matter. But even here, his thoughts returned to Myra. He remembered the fruit she had offered him days ago. He could picture the bright color of its skin, the strange but pleasant taste. He had thanked her then without much thought. Now he wondered if she had known what it truly meant all along. Footsteps echoed behind him. Aaron turned and saw Myra entering the dome. She walked with her usual grace, hands folded loosely in front of her. Her eyes found him at once, and she smiled softly. "You come here often," she said. "I thought I would find you here." Aaron gave a small nod. "It helps me think. The machines do not answer questions, and sometimes I need space." Myra stepped beside him and looked out at the stars. For a moment they stood in silence. The faint hum of the outpost surrounded them, but neither spoke. Finally Aaron sighed and broke the quiet. "Myra," he said slowly, "about what you told me earlier. Was it serious? Did you truly mean that you gave me some kind of bond?" "Yes," Myra said without hesitation. "I would not speak such a thing in jest." Aaron ran a hand through his hair. I do not understand. Humans do not have such things. If what you say is true, then why do I not feel something clear or obvious? Myra turned her head and studied him. You do feel it? You only do not wish to name it. Have you not noticed that you sense me near before you see me? Have you not felt restless when I was far from you? Aaron opened his mouth to deny it, but stopped. She was right. He had noticed. He had thought it was coincidence, or perhaps only his own mind playing tricks. Yet now that she spoke it aloud, he realized those small feelings had been too sharp to ignore. He shifted uncomfortably. Even if that is true, it could just be my imagination. Maybe I think of you more because you are different. Because I am curious about your people. That is possible, Myra admitted, her voice gentle. But the bond is more than curiosity. It is connection. It grows stronger with time. My people believe such links are not accidents. They happen because two hearts are ready to trust each other. Her words stirred something inside Aaron, but he tried to resist it. And if I do not want this bond, what if I cannot accept it? Myra's eyes softened. Then it will fade. Slowly, like light when the sun sets. But until then, it will remain, no matter how much you push it away. Aaron felt it chill even though the dome was warm. He did not like the idea of something inside him he could not control. He wanted to demand answers, to ask her how it worked, to ask if it was safe. But when he looked at her calm face, the words caught in his throat. She did not seem dangerous. She only seemed certain. They stood together in silence again. The stars glimmered beyond the glass, cold and endless. Aaron folded his arms and tried to steady himself. You should have told me, he said at last. When you gave me that fruit, you should have explained what it meant. I thought it was just kindness. I am sorry, Myra said. I did not think the bond would take root so quickly. Among my people it is often slower, built over time. Perhaps with you it was different because you accepted it openly, without fear. Aaron let out a short laugh, though it held no humor. So I was too trusting, and now I am tied to you. Not tied, Myra said quietly. Joined. There is a difference. Her words lingered in the air. Aaron did not answer right away. He felt tired, as if his thoughts had been running in circles all day. He wanted to believe it was nothing, that she was only playing with words. Yet deep inside, a part of him already knew she spoke the truth. At last he turned away from the glass. I need time, Myra. I cannot decide what to believe in one day. She nodded, her expression calm. Time will show you. I will not press you. With that, she left the dome, her steps light and steady. Aaron watched her go, then sank into one of the seats near the glass. He rested his head in his hands, staring at the stars. He did not know what frightened him more, the chance that Myra was wrong, or the chance that she was right. The next morning, Aaron woke up earlier than usual. The outpost lights were still dim, set to night cycle, but his mind refused to rest. He sat on his small bunk, rubbing his eyes, and thought again about Myra's words. He wanted to tell himself it was nonsense, that humans could not be bound to others in such a strange way. Yet even as he tried to push it aside, something inside him stirred, pulling his thoughts back to her. Aaron went about his duties as normal. He carried tools, checked the energy panels, and adjusted the broken scanner he had been repairing the day before. Still, he noticed small changes in himself. Each time he passed a corridor, he paused, half expecting Myra to appear. When he entered the dining hall, he knew without looking that she was already sitting there. And when she turned her head to meet his eyes, he felt a sudden warmth inside his chest, like a quiet signal he could not ignore. At first he thought it was only habit. Humans often grew used to those they saw often, and perhaps he had simply learned to expect her presence. But as the hours passed, the feelings became sharper. He could sense her mood without hearing her voice. When she was calm, he felt steady. When she was worried, his own thoughts grew uneasy. It was not imagination. Something was truly happening. Later that day, while he was fixing a small power relay near the storage section, a loud crash echoed through the corridor. Aaron froze, his tool slipping from his hand. His chest tightened suddenly with a feeling that was not his own. Fear. Strong and sharp, as if someone close to him was in danger. Without thinking, he ran toward the sound. He turned a corner and saw Myra standing near a toppled container. She looked unharmed, but her face was pale, her hands trembling. Another worker rushed to help her lift the container back into place. Only then did the pressure in Aaron's chest fade, replaced with relief so strong that he had to steady himself against the wall. Myra looked up and saw him. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world around them seemed quiet. She knew he had felt it. He knew she had sent it without meaning to. The bond was real. When the others left, Myra walked over to him. "You came quickly," she said softly. Aaron swallowed. "I felt it. Before I even heard the noise, I felt it." Myra nodded slowly. "That is the bond. It shares more than presence. It carries feelings." Aaron shook his head, half in disbelief and half in wonder. "This is impossible. Humans do not have such things. And yet I knew you were afraid. I felt it like it was my own." "It will grow stronger," Myra said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed a hint of worry. "The more time passes, the more clear the bond becomes. Soon you may feel me even when I am far away." Aaron turned away, his mind racing. "I did not ask for this, Myra. I am only a technician. I did not plan for my life to be tied to anyone, much less someone from another world." "I know," she said gently. "And I did not plan it either. But the bond does not ask for plans. It only follows the path of trust." For the rest of the day, Aaron worked in silence. His hands moved through repairs, but his thoughts were not on the machines. Each time he tried to ignore the bond, something reminded him of it. A sudden calmness when Myra walked into the same hall. A faint echo of laughter in his mind when she spoke with others. A deep pull inside when she left the outpost for a survey outside. That night, Aaron sat in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. He remembered the accident with the container. He remembered the way her fear had struck him like a sharp blade, though he had been far away. No human connection had ever been like that. It was not only knowledge, it was experience. He had lived her fear as if it were his own. Sleep did not come easily. When he finally drifted off, his dreams were filled with strange flashes. He saw Myra's eyes, bright against the stars. He heard her voice calling his name, though he could not see her. He felt warmth and calmness, as if her presence wrapped around him. When he woke, his chest still carried the echo of those feelings. The following day, Aaron tried to avoid her. He thought distance might help him clear his mind. He kept to the lower sections of the outpost, working with machines that needed little attention. He ate his meals quickly and left before she arrived. Yet even when he avoided her in person, he could not avoid the pull. When she laughed in the hall above, he felt his mood lift without reason. When she grew quiet in thought, he sensed it like a shadow in his own heart. At last, during the evening cycle, his resistance broke. He found himself walking toward the observation dome again. And as if she already knew, Myra was waiting there. She stood by the glass, her eyes on the endless stars. "I thought you would come," she said softly when he entered. Aaron stopped a few steps behind her. "I tried to stay away. But it did not matter. I still felt you." Myra turned to face him, her expression calm but her eyes searching his. "Then you know it is real. The bond cannot be denied." Aaron let out a long breath. "Yes. I know it now. I felt your fear yesterday, Myra. It struck me like lightning. No human imagination could do that. Whatever this bond is, it is real." They stood in silence for a moment. The stars shone beyond the glass, cold and distant, while inside the dome two beings from different worlds shared a connection closer than either had expected. Finally Aaron spoke again. "But if this bond is real, then what does it mean for me? What does it mean for you?" Myra's voice was soft, yet steady. "It means we carry each other. Your heart touches mine, and mine touches yours. We are no longer separate, even if we wish to be." Aaron felt a shiver run through him. Part of him wanted to fight it, to run from the weight of such words. Yet another part, deep inside, felt something different. A strange peace, as if for the first time in his life he was not alone. He stood there, uncertain, while Myra's calm gaze held his. The signs were clear now. The bond was no joke, no story, but a truth written into both of them. And Aaron knew his life would never be the same again. The outpost was never a lively place, but in the days after Aaron realized the bond was real, it felt even quieter. The machines hummed, the corridors echoed with footsteps, and the distant stars watched in silence. Yet for Aaron, everything had changed. He could no longer deny what was happening. The signs were too strong. He could feel Myra before she entered a room, sense her emotions when she was near, and sometimes even when she was not. It frightened him, but it also pulled him closer to her. No human had ever made him feel this way, not even close friends or family. Myra seemed to accept it calmly, as if she had expected this from the beginning. One evening, when the shift ended, she invited him to walk with her in the outer corridor. It was a quiet place, lined with small windows that looked out into the blackness of space. Aaron agreed, though part of him feared what he might learn. As they walked side by side, Myra's voice broke the silence. "You deserve to know the truth of my people," she said. "The bond you feel is not an accident. It is part of our nature. Long ago, when our world was dangerous and uncertain, we learned that we could not survive alone. Our hearts and minds began to share energy with one another. Through this sharing, families stayed strong, groups stayed united, and fear was lessened. The bond became part of who we are." Aaron listened carefully, his eyes shifting between her face and the stars beyond the glass. "So it is not magic. It is part of your body, part of your life." "Yes," Myra said, her tone steady. "It is not a trick, and it is not a spell. It is as real as the air we breathe. When I shared food with you, my energy passed into you. I thought it was only a gesture of kindness. But the bond formed. That means our hearts recognized each other." Aaron frowned slightly. "Recognized each other? How can hearts recognize across different worlds? We are not even the same species." Myra gave a small smile, though it carried no mockery. Perhaps it is rare. Perhaps it is the first time. But bonds are not chosen by logic. They form where there is trust, where there is openness. You accepted what I gave without suspicion, and so the link grew. Aaron walked in silence for a few steps, his mind heavy with questions. And this bond, how strong can it become? Myra's eyes softened. Stronger than you may believe. With time, I may feel your thoughts as clearly as my own. You may sense my pain as if it were your pain. Some say that in the deepest bonds, even distance cannot break the connection. Two souls may know each other across stars. The words sent a shiver down Aaron's spine. He imagined a future where he could no longer separate his own feelings from hers, where his life was tied to an alien girl forever. Part of him wanted to run, to deny it all. Yet another part felt an odd comfort, as if the thought of never being alone was something he had always wanted without knowing. They stopped near one of the larger windows. Outside, a comet streaked faintly across the distance, its light leaving a trail behind. Myra turned to him. I know this is not easy for you. Humans are not used to bonds of this kind. But you must believe me when I say it is not a trap. It is not meant to control. It is meant to share. Aaron met her gaze. Her eyes were steady, filled with patience. He remembered the moment he had felt her fear during the accident, the way it had struck him so strongly. If this was sharing, then it was powerful indeed. I believe you, he said quietly. But I do not know if I am ready. I never asked for this, Myra. I am just a technician. I fix machines. I never thought my life would be joined to someone else's. Myra nodded slowly. I understand. Bonds are not planned. They surprise us. But perhaps this is not a mistake. Perhaps it is a path you were meant to find. Aaron gave a soft laugh, though it held no humor. Meant to find. That sounds like fate. Perhaps, Myra replied, her tone gentle. Or perhaps it is only chance. But either way, it is real. And it is ours now. They stood in silence, watching the comet fade into the distance. For a moment, Aaron let himself simply feel. The quiet presence of Myra beside him was steady, calming. Even without looking, he could sense her patience, her calmness. It was as if a second heartbeat pulsed faintly beside his own. Later that night, back in his quarters, Aaron lay awake. The more he thought about her explanation, the more questions grew inside him. What if others found out? What if the bond changed him in ways he could not control? What if one day he felt more of Myra than he could bear? He turned restlessly, trying to find peace. Yet even in his unease, he felt the quiet warmth of her presence, like a distant light that kept him from complete darkness. The next day, Aaron noticed how different his work felt. He was not alone with his machines anymore. Even when Myra was in another part of the outpost, he felt a thread connecting them. It did not distract him. In fact, it steadied his hands, gave him focus. He wondered if this was what her people had always known, that strength could be found not in walls or weapons, but in the closeness of hearts. That evening, he met Myra again near the dining hall. She carried a small box with her. Inside were more of the strange fruits she had first shared. She offered one to him, but this time he hesitated. If I eat another, he said slowly, will the bond grow stronger? Yes, Myra answered. But only if your heart accepts it. If you fear it, nothing will change. If you welcome it, the bond will deepen. Aaron stared at the fruit, its skin glowing faintly under the light. His hand trembled slightly. Part of him wanted to take it, to see how far this connection could go. Another part urged him to step back, to stay safe in the world he knew. In the end, he did not take it. Not yet. He shook his head and pushed the box gently back toward her. "I need more time," he said. Myra nodded with quiet understanding. "Time is what bonds are built on. I will wait." She left him then, carrying the box with her. Aaron stood in the hall long after she was gone, his heart heavy with questions but also strangely calm. He knew one thing for certain now. Whatever this bond was, it was not a passing trick. It was real, it was strong, and it was already changing his life. Days passed, and the bond between Aaron and Myra became harder to hide. At first, only Aaron noticed the strange pull between them. But soon, others began to see signs. One afternoon, while Aaron was working in the repair bay, 2 human workers entered carrying tools. They greeted him quickly, then paused when Myra stepped in moments later. Aaron looked up just before she arrived, almost as if he had sensed her coming. The workers exchanged glances but said nothing. Later that evening, in the dining hall, it happened again. Myra laughed at something one of her own people said, and Aaron, sitting across the room, turned his head at the same moment, smiling faintly though he had not heard the words. A few humans whispered to one another, suspicion in their eyes. Aaron tried to ignore it, but the whispers grew. Some humans in the outpost had always been cautious of the alien visitors. They did not understand their ways, and they preferred to keep distance. To them, the thought of a bond between a human and an alien was troubling. One night, Aaron was approached by a man named Darren, one of the older workers. They stood alone near the storage hall, the air heavy with quiet. "Aaron," Darren said, his tone firm, "I have seen the way you look at her. I have seen how you move before she even enters a room. Do not think the rest of us are blind. Something is happening between you and that alien girl." Aaron's chest tightened. He did not know how to answer, so he stayed silent. Darren stepped closer. "You are a good worker, Aaron. You keep this place running. But if you let them influence you, if you let them play with your mind, you put all of us at risk. We do not know what their powers can do." Aaron finally spoke, his voice quiet but steady. "Myra is not dangerous. She has never harmed anyone. What you call power is only part of who she is. It is not a trick." But Darren shook his head. "You do not see it because you are caught in it. Bonds, magic, energy, whatever you call it, it is not human. And anything not human cannot be trusted." The words struck deep, and Aaron walked away without answering. He knew Darren spoke from fear, but fear had a way of spreading quickly. The strain did not come only from humans. Among Myra's own people, there was unease as well. One evening, as Aaron walked through the corridor, he overheard 2 of them speaking in their language. He could not understand every word, but the tone was sharp, filled with worry. When Myra appeared, the 2 turned to her and spoke more firmly. Myra's face grew serious as she listened. Later that night, she came to Aaron. Her eyes held a weight he had not seen before. "My people have warned me," she said softly. "They say a bond with a human is dangerous. They fear what may happen if it grows too strong. They believe it will break me, or break you." Aaron's heart sank. "And what do you believe?" Myra paused before answering. "I believe the bond is real. And I believe it has meaning. But meaning does not erase danger. I cannot promise what the future will hold. The words left Aaron restless. That night he lay awake again, torn between fear and trust. He wanted to believe Myra, but the voices around him grew louder each day. Humans whispered behind his back. Aliens warned Myra to stay away. The bond that had felt like a gift was now becoming a weight neither of them could escape. The pressure grew worse when small problems began to appear in the outpost. A sensor malfunction caused false alarms. A power line failed, leaving one section dark for hours. Each time something broke, eyes turned toward Aaron and Myra. Some believed the bond distracted him from his duties. Others feared it was the cause of the problems itself. One evening, during a meeting in the command hall, the leader of the outpost, Captain Rallan, addressed the workers. His voice was calm but firm. "We are here to keep the station running, to protect the trade routes, and to ensure safety for all. Rumors of strange bonds and hidden dangers will not help us. If there is truth to these rumors, then it must be faced openly. If there is no truth, then it must be put to rest." Everyone's eyes turned to Aaron and Myra. The silence was heavy, pressing down like a storm. Aaron felt his throat tighten, but before he could speak, Myra stepped forward. "I will not hide," she said clearly. "Yes, there is a bond between us. It is part of my people's nature. It does not harm. It does not control. It only shares. If you fear it, that is your choice. But do not call it evil." Her words rang in the hall, steady and calm. Some listened with thoughtful faces, but others turned away, still suspicious. After the meeting, Aaron walked with Myra down the corridor. His steps were heavy. "You should not have said it so openly. Now they will only watch us more closely." Myra shook her head. "Secrets bring more fear than truth. If they cannot accept what is, then that is their weakness, not ours." Aaron wanted to agree, but his heart was troubled. He could feel the distance growing between him and the others. The bond had not only joined him to Myra, it had set him apart from his own people. That night, as he sat alone in his quarters, the thought struck him clearly. The bond was no longer just about Myra and him. It had become a test of trust between two worlds. If it broke, it would not only wound their hearts, it could divide humans and aliens further. For the first time, Aaron wondered if he had the strength to carry it. And yet, deep inside, he knew he could not walk away. The bond was already part of him. Even with the strain, even with the doubt, he could not deny it. The tension on the outpost grew heavier with each passing day. Humans kept their distance from Myra, and some of her own people spoke to her in low voices, warning her again about the danger of the bond. Aaron felt caught between two worlds. Wherever he walked, he felt eyes on him, some filled with suspicion, others with pity. But there was no time for whispers when danger arrived. It happened on the fourth night of the new cycle. The alarm sirens rang suddenly, sharp and loud, shaking the walls of the outpost. Aaron rushed from his quarters into the corridor, where red lights flashed in warning. Over the intercom, Captain Rallan's voice called out with urgency. "Raiders approaching. All units to defense stations." Raiders were a threat everyone feared. They were not explorers, not traders, but thieves and fighters who lived by taking from others. They struck without mercy, and their ships were already closing in on the outpost. Aaron's heart raced as he hurried toward the repair bay. His duty was not to fight but to keep systems alive. He checked the power lines, made sure the shields were stable, and listened to the distant rumble of weapons outside. But even as he worked, His chest tightened. He could feel Myra's presence like a bright flame, sharp and urgent. She was near the docking bay, and she was afraid. Without thinking, Aaron grabbed his tool bag and ran. His legs carried him through the corridors until he reached the docking area where Myra and several of her people stood. The air was tense. The shields were holding, but if they failed, the raiders would break through in minutes. Aaron, Myra said, her voice filled with both relief and worry. You should be in safety. So should you, Aaron answered. His eyes darted to the systems nearby. Some of the panels flickered, showing signs of overload. If the defenses collapsed, the outpost would be open to attack. The two of them worked side by side, hands moving quickly over the controls. As they worked, Aaron felt something strange. The bond between them grew stronger, clearer than ever before. He could sense her thoughts before she spoke, know which tool she would reach for, feel her determination as if it were his own. They moved like two parts of one mind, fixing panels, rerouting power, sealing weak points. The others around them stared in surprise. Humans and aliens alike saw how Aaron and Myra moved together, faster than either could alone. It was as if the bond guided their every step. Then the raiders struck harder. A blast shook the outpost, knocking several workers to the floor. Sparks rained from a broken panel, and Myra cried out as heat scorched her arm. At that moment, Aaron felt her pain as if it burned his own skin. He grabbed her quickly, pulling her away from the sparks, his own teeth gritted against the shared sting. Myra, he said urgently, stay behind me. But Myra shook her head, standing tall despite the pain. No. We fight together. Her voice steadied him. He turned back to the panel, and together they forced the system back online. The shields brightened once more, holding against the next blast. Minutes stretched like hours. The raiders pressed hard, but the outpost held. Finally, the sound of retreat echoed through the COMM. The raider ships pulled away, their attack broken. Relief spread across the halls, heavy and deep. The outpost had survived. But for Aaron and Myra, the night was not only about survival. Everyone had seen what the bond could do. They had seen how the connection between human and alien gave strength where none was expected. Later, in the quiet after the alarm, Captain Rallan called for Aaron and Myra. They stood before him in the command hall, tired but steady. The captain's face was unreadable, his hands folded behind his back. What I saw today, Rallan said slowly, was not weakness. It was strength. Whatever this bond is, it helped us survive. Without it, we might have lost the outpost. Aaron exchanged a glance with Myra, then spoke. Captain, I did not choose this bond. But now I cannot deny it. It is real, and it has power. The question is whether I accept it fully, or keep resisting it. Rallan studied him. And what do you wish, Aaron? Aaron's throat tightened. He thought of the fear, the whispers, the doubt. He thought of Myra's calm eyes, her voice steady even in danger. He thought of how the bond had saved them both. I wish to be free, he said at last. But freedom does not mean breaking what already exists. It means choosing. And I choose to stand with her. The words hung in the air. Myra's eyes softened, filled with quiet light. She stepped closer, her voice calm. And I choose to stand with him. The bond is ours now, whether others fear it or not. For a long moment, silence filled the hall. Then Captain Rallan nodded. So be it. What matters most is not what we fear, but what we build. If this bond can give us strength, then perhaps it is not a danger, but a gift. When they left the hall, Aaron felt both lighter and heavier at once. The choice was made. He had accepted the bond, accepted Myra. There would still be doubts, still be whispers, but his path was clear. That night, he and Myra stood together in the observation dome once more. The stars stretched wide and endless before them. "Today you felt my pain," Myra said quietly. "And you did not turn away. You chose to carry it with me." Aaron looked at her and gave a small, steady nod. "If that is what the bond means, then I accept it. I will carry it. I will carry you." Myra's eyes shone softly. "And I will carry you." In the silence of the stars, two hearts from different worlds stood joined. The choice was made, and nothing would be the same again. The days after the raider attack changed the outpost in many ways. Repairs were made, shields were reinforced, and watch shifts doubled. But the greatest change was not in the walls or machines. It was in the people. Whispers still moved through the halls, but they no longer carried only fear. Some workers spoke of how Aaron and Myra had saved them all. Some told how their bond allowed them to act as one, faster than anyone else. Others still doubted, but doubt had grown softer now, mixed with curiosity. Aaron noticed the change whenever he walked into a room. People no longer looked away in mistrust. Some nodded in quiet respect. Even Darren, who once warned him, gave a small greeting when their eyes met, though his face still carried unease. Among Myra's people, change came as well. They had seen how her bond with a human had strengthened both sides. They no longer spoke to her with sharp warnings. Instead, they asked questions, soft and cautious. What did the bond feel like? How deep was it? Could it break? Myra answered patiently, though she herself did not have every answer. What she did know was simple. The bond was real, and it was not a chain. It was choice, freely carried by two hearts. Yet peace never lasted long. 2 weeks after the raid, another message came. Raiders were moving again, larger in number, angry from their defeat. The outpost was in their path once more. This time, fear did not spread in panic. The people knew what was coming, and they prepared together. Weapons were checked, shields tested, and crews drilled in defense. Still, Captain Rallan called Aaron and Myra to his side. "You two showed us something last time," he said firmly. "But the enemy will come stronger now. We cannot rely on luck. We need more than just defense. We need a way to stand as one." Myra's eyes met Aaron's. They both knew what he meant. Their bond had given them strength. Perhaps it could give the whole outpost strength as well. So, for the first time, they opened the bond to others. It was not easy. Myra guided Aaron, showing him how to share a thread of their connection. A small group of humans and aliens joined hands with them in the hall. At first, there was nothing. Then slowly, each person felt it. Not as strong as Aaron and Myra felt it, but enough. Enough to sense trust, to sense focus, to sense courage flowing from one to another. When the raiders came again, the outpost stood ready. The attack was fierce. Dozens of enemy ships fired on the shields. Explosions lit the dark around the station. But this time, every defender moved with sharp unity. Gun crews aimed with steady hands, power lines were rerouted in seconds, and no order was lost in confusion. The bond had spread courage like fire in dry grass. In the heat of the battle, Aaron and Myra worked at the heart of it all. She stood with her people at the shield controls, he with the humans at the repair lines, yet they moved as one. When Myra needed extra power, Aaron knew it before her voice reached the COMM. When Aaron faced a failing line, Myra guided him with her calm, sending focus through their bond. The fight dragged long, but the outpost did not fall. At last, the raiders broke and fled once more, their ships scattering into the dark. Cheers rang through the station, tired but strong. When silence returned, the bond still lingered. Humans and aliens looked at one another with new eyes. They had fought not as two sides, but as one. After the battle, Captain Rallan gathered everyone in the great hall. His voice carried pride. Today we faced more than an enemy. We faced our fear of each other. And today, we won. This bond is not a danger. It is a bridge. If we keep building on it, no raider, no enemy, will break us. Applause filled the hall. Some smiled, some wept, and for the first time, there was no divide between them. That night, Aaron and Myra stood once more in the observation dome. The stars spread endless before them, but now they did not seem so distant. Aaron spoke softly. When this began, I only made a joke. I never thought it would lead to this. I never thought one bond could change so much. Myra smiled gently. It was never only a joke. Words have power, choices have power. And the bond was waiting. You only gave it room to grow. Aaron looked at her, feeling the quiet strength of their connection. He knew the future would not be without trials. There would always be fear, always be struggle. But now there was trust as well. And trust was stronger. He reached out, and Myra placed her hand in his. For a moment, silence wrapped around them, not heavy but calm. Two different hearts, two different worlds, yet one bond. Far beyond the glass of the dome, the stars shone cold and distant. But between Aaron and Myra, warmth spread steady and sure. Whatever lay ahead, they would carry it together.